Hello, guys. Hello. KMD, you made me laugh because I know your true identity. So, hello, RH. Hello to KMD. Hello to Denver. Hello to Roger. Hello to Ian Carlo Ortiz. Hello to the mysterious stranger. Oh, that's a very female gaze name, mysterious stranger. Hello, Smart Water. Hello, Marco Floyd. Hello, Akash. Hello, RH. He says, he is doing great, and that he really likes my old videos on social anxiety. They're great to learn from other people's perspectives. RH, do you experience social anxiety? And I'm surprised you watched those. Yeah. I think my lives have helped me a lot with social anxiety, but I still have some for sure, especially around certain people. What about you, RH? Hello, Just Tekina. Akash is sending me love from India. Thank you, Akash. What part of India are you from, Akash? I'm curious. Gematria says Boston. Hello, Gematria. Um, the better man says hello. Why do women sometimes try to frustrate their man when they don't have their way? Give me an example, the better man. Give me the exact scenario, what you said to her, what she said to you, and then I can give you a better idea. But interesting question, intriguing question, the better man. Based AF. Rose says, oh, I like that name. Greetings from Oakland, California. Greetings. I've been to Oakland. It's pretty cool. I liked it. How do you like it? Based? Jesus. Hello. Bonjour. Akash also says bonjour. Wow, so many French speakers tonight. Freedom Fox 1. Female mind in simple terms. Someone's feeling ambitious tonight. Yes, you're right. I always set the bar high, and I never reach it. But hey, it's good clickbait, right? And I do try to explain it probably a lot more simply than most YouTubers. Can we say that? But yeah, it's a little clickbaity. But hey, you're here. So, Mysterious Stranger says, I live in the barracks currently with the 101st Airborne Division. So me and 3 guys currently watch. Oh my, are you kidding me? That's crazy. I feel like I'm Marilyn Monroe, like serenading the troops. That's incredible. But are you guys allowed to like watch? I guess you're allowed to watch YouTube, but like, are there any rules against that? I know nothing about it, but it's really cool. And how did you guys all find my channels as well? Like, did you all get recommended it by the algorithm, or did one share it? It's pretty awesome. So then Denver says, why did you stop making normal videos on different subjects? Okay, Denver, that's a great question. Honestly, I'll be completely honest, okay? You guys, well, okay, first of all, I don't know the exact reason, but this is one of the things that deters me, okay? Every day, I get like a barrage of insults from the commenters, and people tell me, don't read the comments. Okay, I can't not read the comments. Like, I don't know what it is about me, but I have to read the comments. So every day I'm getting so many insults. So then it kind of makes me feel like, why do I want to tell the secrets of the female mind to these people who hate me? Yeah, I block like dozens a day, but it's difficult because you guys on the lives, I really like you all basically because you're like people who actually are interested. But my videos go out to a lot of people, and I guess I should be grateful, but it's intense, guys. So every time I have content to make, I'm just like, I don't want to do it. So what do you guys think of that? Is that like pathetic? Akash says he's from New Delhi. Donnie says hello from Berlin, Germany. Very cool. Berlin. I've been there. I loved it. It was a vegan paradise. Nani. Hello, Nani. Welcome. How do you always make it to the lives? It's incredible. Akash says, why do these online dating apps suck? Probably your profile, Akash. Probably your profile pictures. Okay? It's probably that. I mean, that's the most important thing. So Let me screenshot your pictures and send them to me, and I'll tell you, "Yep, Akash, you're doomed with these pictures. You gotta take new pictures." Hello, Mellow Flat 41. Um, Denver says, adding on to the question Better Man asks, like my past girlfriend literally used to annoy me and make me jealous as time passed. Well, she probably wasn't feeling she was getting enough attention from you because if she's trying to make you jealous, that kind of means like she craves your attention. So, yeah, I mean, there could be other reasons, but that's one that springs to mind. Um, so yeah, but give me a more specific situation there, Denver. Akash says, have you been to India? I have not, but I would like to go for sure. Textbook Bad Person says, hello from Sri Lanka. Very cool. Wow. Um, Afzal Minhaj says, please release more deep, dark secrets. Okay, about what? About sex, about female fantasies, about the female mind, about the female blind spots. What kind of deep, dark secrets do you want? Eight Fake says, how to fix a rift between me and my girl that liked me a lot but told me, sorry, no, because I moved too fast. Okay. Honestly, I think this one deserves an apology. So, was this your girlfriend? And she liked you a lot, but she told you, sorry, no. I think this one deserves like a genuine apology. Like, I mean, give me the situation, and then we can give the apology. That would be appropriate for the situation. But you moved too fast. And then what? She got really hurt. She got upset. She felt violated. She felt you didn't care about her. What did she say after you moved too fast? Uh, so, hi, Lee. Santos says, I bounced you from Pearl. That's crazy, Santos, because you must have been one of the one people. I mean, I guess it's that she did my raw attractive power video, like commentary on it. And the comments on that were horrible. So I'm amazed, Santos, because everyone else was calling me this woman is a complete idiot in the comments. So I'm amazed that there was one person in that whole section who was like, I like it. And also, she didn't credit me at all. So I'm amazed you found me. So how did that work, Santos? So Mysterious Stranger says, well, I found it. And now the guys are cheering because you recognize us, America. Wow, Mr. Okay, well, do you guys have any questions? Let me know. All three of you, or four of you, whatever it is. Three, four, I forgot. Um, Freedom Fox One says you make it just simple enough. Really helpful stuff. Okay, very good to hear that, Freedom Fox, that you're thinking it's simple. Sharma says best way to get girls in uni. What about just talking them to in class, going to parties, chatting on campus, joining the different clubs? I feel like it's probably one of the best places to get girls. You can still use online dating apps. Yeah. What do you guys think for Sharma? Hello, Lee from Canada. What part of Canada, Lee? I'm curious. TB says, we appreciate your work. Fuck the haters. Thank you, TP. I honestly appreciate that. What? I got a super chat. Thank you so much, Box Luxic. I've appreciated your comments, Box, on my last live. I thought that was really funny what you wrote about how a Beardo should be in a cage or he's a beast or whatever. That was hilarious. So thank you so much for your super chat, Box. Now, what is PLN? Explain that to me. What currency is that? And let me know if you have any questions, Box. So Eric Zapata says, why the majority of women can't take rejection and they come back even if you don't show interest. Okay, so I feel like these are two different questions. First one, I understand why the majority of women can't take rejection. Well, okay, I agree. I mean, a lot of women I don't think are very good at taking rejection. I mean, they're not used to it. they're kinda never having to put themselves in the position that you guys have to put yourself, like going out on a limb and being the one who's asking people out on dates. So they are not practiced at it. They are getting the advice, and just the market dynamics for dating are such that they're kind of in the power position in many respects. And so they're not used to kind of feeling like humiliated and feeling like they're not good enough. And they have this impression that like men should come to them, men should be asking them out, men should be treating them like a princess, like a goddess. So it can be a blow to the ego that they're not really used to, you know? So I agree that, they're unpracticed, that's for sure. Um, yeah. The second part of your question, they come back even if you don't show interest. You're gonna have to give me a more specific scenario for that one, Eric. So, oh wait, what? We got a super chat from Nani as well. How am I not seeing these super chats? Thank you so much, Nani. As always, Nani. And he says, "Why do you have to go live when the fight is on?" No, lol. And I always catch your lives because I'm at work. So you can just like watch my lives at work, Nani, and you're also watching the fight at work. Um, yeah. So when are fights on? I guess Saturday nights, I'm guessing. And yeah, well, to be honest, Donnie, the reason I'm doing it is because there's also a football game on, I guess. Or maybe it's over, I don't know. But whenever Beardo's watching the football game, then I get bored. I'm like, let me do a little socializing. So, yeah. And Nani, how's your fighting training going? I check out your stories sometimes. It looks like it's going very well. And thanks again so much for super chat, Nani. Literally, like you're so supportive. So it's incredible. Now, hello, Antonio. Hello, Lee. Hello, Santos. Hello, Sharma from Australia. Wow. Hello, Kash. Again, I like those female gaze emojis. Ruhama Day says, "It's my first time seeing you live. I'm glad to be here." Wow. Wait, Ruhama, are you a woman here? Because that would be incredible. It looks like from your profile picture. Let me know, because if you are, welcome with another female, as we call them here, in the chat. Welcome. So hello, Tom. Lee says, "When are you visiting Toronto, Canada?" I want to visit like tomorrow because I love it. I had an amazing Beardo took me there on like an anniversary kind of thing. It was amazing. It was so much fun. And there was one restaurant which I'm dying to go back to. It was so good. Denver says, "Sorry, as a time pass isn't for fun." Oh, okay. I must have misread that phrase. Toronto says, "You're a real one." Thank you, Toronto. Ruhama says she's from Portland, Oregon. Oregon. Amazing. I enjoyed Portland, and I'm going to be there again this year. So, okay. That's a great question, Sharma. I wish Beardo was here to answer that one. I think he'd be a little better, but it's a great one. So Richie Dawn asked the question, when a woman is trying to make you jealous in social situations, what is she trying to achieve? What reaction is she expecting from a guy? How should a guy react for her to submit? Okay, I don't like the last part of your question, Richie, but let's think about this. So, when a woman is trying to make you jealous in a social situation, what is she trying to achieve? So, she probably, I mean, this is kind of vague, but she probably wants your attraction. She wants you to want her. She wants you to kind of realize that she's in demand, she's valuable, and that you should value her, basically. So, what reaction is she expecting from a guy? One reaction she could be expecting from you is kind of like what Beardo was demonstrating a little bit on some of the last lives he's on, some kind of playful jealousy reaction. Like, you know, those guys want you. You want, I'm gonna like fight them. I'm gonna fight them. Beardo's coming soon. We'll get him. Like, you're mine. What do you think you're doing? Kind of like this fake possessive jealousy, almost like this playful possessive jealousy, more kind of like attraction to her, like grabbing her, kissing her. Um, you can even just kind of be like playfully jealous, like Beardo sometimes like, you think those guys could fuck you better than I can or something? No, not even close. You think they've got a better dick than me? Not even close. Like, she wants to basically, she could want you to just turn up that possessive dom energy just a little bit, but in kind of a playful way. Okay. She doesn't, um, but basically, she wants your attention. She wants you to see, to value her. She wants your affection. And she wants your kind of like interest, obsession, affection. Yeah, pretty much all the same things I'm saying. So, how a guy should react for her to submit, you should give her that because it's another way of saying, I feel like you don't value me. I feel like you don't find me attractive. I feel like you mm, aren't, you know, my man. I feel like you don't want to claim me. I feel like you don't want to own me. I feel like you don't want to protect me from other guys. So it's almost like a little bit of a challenge. Like, I could leave. Do you want me? Show me. Show me. Prove it to me that you need me, you care about me, you value me, you want me. So that's the reaction that a girl who's trying to make you jealous usually, I think, wants. Okay. So the wrong reaction would be something like, well, you can do what you want. It's up to you. I don't care. I'm not going to stop you. Um, I don't want to put pressure on you. If you want him and not me, fine. Go get him. I mean, I'm kind of filling in a lot of the blanks here because I don't know the exact situation you're referring to. But I've seen that many a time on shows like, for example, like dating shows like Bachelor in Paradise, for example. Lots of girls, they don't like this reaction. They don't like this the guys think they're doing the right thing. They're being a good guy by just not acting jealous, not acting possessive. But sometimes what's called for is for the guy to just, what's a good word for it? Like dom up in a playful way and just show the girl in a playful dom way that he will like fight for her. Basically, he will fight other guys for her. You don't actually have to punch a guy, but you could just kind of jokingly say like, you will. Okay. So it's just a little of that possessiveness would be good. What do you guys think, Richie? What do you think, Richie? What does everyone else think? And what does, if Ruhama is still in the chat, what does she think? Oh, Ruhama, if you're still here, do you agree, Ruhama? Like, a good thing to just say is like, you're mine, Like, or sometimes my boyfriend will say like, I own you. And depending how comfortable you are with her, and you can even take it up a notch from there. But of course, the difference between what I'm saying and what you're saying is, how to make her submit. You're not actually making her submit, okay? If she wants to go off with those other guys, you cannot stop her, okay? But what you can do is play into her fantasy of kind of a female gaze, possessive, obsessive boyfriend. Like if you think about all the popular books for women, all right, let's just say Twilight, 50 Shades of Grey, 365 Days, all the popular like erotic novels. Twilight. He's kind of obsessive, right? He's kind of possessive, right? Edward. He, same with Christian Grey. He's always like stalking her. So they just want a little of that spiciness, in my opinion, but they don't want you to actually abuse them, control them and force them to submit. It's really more of a playful thing. Do you guys know what I mean? Samuel Hernandez says, "You're mine and we belong together." Yeah, I like that, Samuel. That's really good. Richie says, "I appreciate your answer. This puzzled me for quite some time." Interesting, Richie. And now, how did you react in the past to that? Like, what were you doing before this? Ah, Mysterious Stranger super chatted me. Thank you so much, Mysterious Stranger. Now, Mysterious Stranger is somebody in now I don't want to get this wrong. Okay, are you guys in the army or okay. Well, like what do you guys think about like this kind of like what I just said? I'm curious. And thank you so much for your super chat. I really appreciate that. So Richie Don says, "In the past, I just ignored the situation." Yep. Now, I'm curious, Richie, why did you ignore the situation in the past? Hey, Josh the Manga Lad. Hello, Josh. Sharma says, "Can I discuss history with women?" Well, it depends, Sharma. Okay, is she into history? Because if you got yourself like a history buff woman, of course. However, do you want to just bore a woman with history like on a first date? You got to be careful with that. You got to try to find fun topics that are flirty, playful, and also about her and her interests. So if she's not into history, I wouldn't just discuss history with women. Kind of goes without saying, but yeah. So Mysterious Stranger says he's in the Army, 101st Airborne Division Air Assault as well. So are you guys pilots or? Uh, okay. Now let's see what question we're going to take next. Oh, Mysterious Stranger, no, we are paratroopers. Oh, wow. Okay. Okay. Siri, he says, "I'm a 24-year-old engineer doing well off. I have a major crush on a CVS cashier that I've been talking to for the past 2 months. She is 54 years old, 30-year gap. We have great chemistry. How do I pursue her?" Well, Siri, I would, when you're talking to her at CVS, because okay, so when you say you've been talking to her, do you have her number? And are you in the texting phase, or have you not, you just talked to her when you go to CVS and you haven't got her number? Um, because if you haven't got her number yet, I would just be like, when you're chatting to her sometime, be like, "Hey, I know this is kind of unusual or out of the blue, but I don't know, I just really enjoy talking to you. And can I get your number? I'd love to take you out sometime." And if she's like, "Huh, don't you think you're a little too young for me, honey?" Well, there's some good responses to that, okay? This guy I talked to, who I often mention because he was awesome, okay? He gave me a good line for that, okay? Now, this might be a little bold, so maybe you can workshop it to like fit your personality. But he said to say something like, I like I can still like I know I'm young, but I can still make you feel like a woman, which is good because it kind of implies that even though you're young, you'll still be in the masculine role. She still won't take the dominant position with you. You'll still be able to be kind of like a man for her. So that's only if she says something. I mean, she probably will because she probably knows, like, whoa, this is a big age difference. But you can maybe like workshop it to kind of convey that same thing, or you could just use that and kind of just in a joking, like flirting way. But yeah, the most important thing is that you just be like, I know this might be like a little unusual, but can I get your number? Like, I just really enjoy talking to you. I don't know. There's just something about you. That's the line I say to use. But, you know, and then she might be like, okay, sure. And then once you get her number, you can start texting her and then you can plan a date and invite her out on the date. Um, but yeah, that's kind of the main idea. You can kind of put your own spin on it, but you got to get her number. And from there, you have to come up with a date. Like, you know, do you like do you like sushi? Yeah, I love sushi. Okay, like there's this really amazing sushi place that we could go out to. Like, how is 7 p.m. Friday night or something like that? She's like, oh, yeah, I'd love to, but I can't Friday night. And then you could just be like, okay, when are you free? And then she's like, oh, next weekend. And like, how about um, a bar or something? Or you could still say sushi, but like, how about then? She's like, okay, sure. Or you could make another plan and say, how about then? She's like, okay, now you have a date. But that's basically like the general gist. Like, you're coming up with the time, you're coming up with the place, you're coming up with the day, but you can be flexible if she can't do it that day. But that's kind of the general gist. Siri, if that makes sense. So then Michael Nolan says, first of all, Michael Nolan, uh, let's celebrate our third super on a live stream. Thank you so much, Michael Nolan. I really appreciate your super chat. He says, thanks for sharing your insights. I always learn a bunch from your live stream. Listen close, fellas. Okay, Michael Nolan, thank you for saying that. And I'm curious, Michael, what's something you learned from a live stream? I don't know, just anything. I'm curious. And thank you so much for your support. And I like your cat picture there. Somebody said a comment to me today. It was like, how many cats do you think this lady has? I'm like, you got me, bro. But I don't have any cats, so. Seahorse, thank you so much for your first super chat on a live stream. I really appreciate it. And he says, thanks, dear. And you gave me a very generous super chat. Now, let me see if you gave me a question that I just didn't see, Seahorse, but if I missed it, just copy and paste it below. Oh, Siri says thank you so much. So okay, it's very, you're saying you have long combos for 10 minutes and very flirtatious, then yeah, the line I gave you will work well for this. She'll probably be impressed by that. Like when that guy said that to me, I laughed. I'm like, that's hilarious. It's great. She's gonna love it. So all right. Hey, Michelle. Welcome back. We got two girls. And Ruhama, unfortunately, it's saying like your message is retracted. So I don't know if that has anything to. Sometimes if it's like the word sex is mentioned or whatever, like YouTube will retract it. So I can't see what you wrote, but I wish I could because I want to know. So Seahorse has asked me a question. Okay. He says, what has totally undone you in the bedroom? Okay. Well, so is this kind of like what is like the best thing that has ever happened to me like in the bedroom, or what's my favorite thing in the bedroom, or what do I think is like the hottest thing in the bedroom? Um I want to say something, but I feel like you guys are going to like really judge me for it. It's definitely unacceptable. It's definitely weird. Um but it's definitely not PC. It's definitely not appropriate. And it's definitely not something I should be like promoting, but this is just me personally. Okay. But let me know, what is your actual question, Seahorse, before I go down that path. So binge watching says, what are some thoughtful and unique ways to impress a girl that go beyond the typical gestures, demonstrating authenticity and a deeper connection? Okay. Well, that's a great question. I'm not sure, like when you say like the typical gestures, I guess you mean like flowers or a note. But okay. I mean, this is probably like basic, so this might be like part of the typical gestures, but just planning a whole day for her, like let's say you have a date and it's like really tailored to her interests, where it's like for example, I really like looking at like fancy old houses. So my boyfriend will just be like, for our date today, we're going to like this random like mansion. And I'll be like, wow, that's so thoughtful. Cause I know he doesn't like care about that stuff. So it makes it even more thoughtful that he's like tailoring it to my specific interests. So there's that. And then one I mentioned in another video, which I think is kind of a classic that many girls are fantasizing about, is the old, you buy her an outfit and then you take her on a date where you want her to wear the outfit. And make sure you get some input from like a fashionable friend or something of an outfit she will like. But that is a scenario that happens in romance novels all the time, where it's just like, I bought you something, like meet me at 7 tonight and be wearing it. We're going out. So it's kind of like a surprise dom gift in a way. I mean, I think a lot of girls will just be like, oh my gosh, that's really hot, because that's like every scenario in like a romance novel like this happens. So there's that. What else? Let's see, we got another super chat here, but I'm thinking of that because that's a great question. I actually wanted to make a video on that for Valentine's Day, like some more good things to do for Valentine's Day for your girlfriend or girl you're dating. Box. Thank you so much, Box, for your super chat. And he says, do you remember the movie What Women Want starring Mel Gibson? It was funny, wasn't it? By the way, PL stands for Poland. Okay, I see. Yes, I remember the movie What Women Want. I saw it, but I saw it so long ago. Like, I literally saw it in the theaters when it came out. So I want to go back, like, with my perspective now and rewatch it because I'm curious, like, how it went down. But yeah, Box, like, what did you think of the movie? And yeah, like, were there any good parts in it where he kind of explained what women want? Because I don't remember it too well. Thank you so much again for your super chat, Box. So, Mysterious Stranger. Ah, thank you so much, Mysterious Stranger. He says, read Meditations by Marcus Aurelius and be a man. You know, I have not read Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. Um, do you think it can like really help you like be a man? I have read some quotes from it, which I actually do really like, and I think about sometimes when I'm like trying not to respond to YouTube comments. Um, thanks again, Mysterious Stranger. What did you like about Meditations? Michael Nolan says, one thing that really made me think was your explanation of how women think that men are hypermasculine. Sometimes being the nice guy is not so helpful. Yes, Michael Nolan. The hypermasculinity bias. Yes. I was thinking about it yesterday. It's like girls have a certain set of expectations about how men should be. Okay? And when a man is deviating from it, they're kind of like, what's going on there? Because they don't understand what you guys deal with, the insecurities you have, the fears you have, the pressures you have. They're kind of just like, why isn't he aligning with what I expect? Is he gay? He must be gay because that's the only reason that a guy would not act hypermasculine, and that's the only reason why a guy would not know the hypermasculine expectations because they think it's all natural. They think it's all genetic. They think it's all like a result of your testosterone. So, it's definitely a huge blind spot on women's side, and it's not a good one. It's not helpful for them or for you guys. But yeah, it's just like either you do the behaviors they expect in dating, or they're just kind of like, what's going on with him? I don't get it. Something's malfunctioning. The robot is malfunctioning. You know what I mean? So if you're being a nice guy, they're like, basically like the robot is malfunctioning. Like, what's going on with him? Why is he acting not the way I expect a man to naturally act? I don't know. I'm not going to find out. They don't think, oh, he's like a disgusting, insecure loser. They're just like, I don't get that guy. I don't understand what's going on with that guy. He seems like a guy. He seems masculine. So why isn't he measuring up to what I expect a masculine guy to do? That's really the attitude. And trust me, I had it myself, so I know for sure. And I see it all the time. Okay? Always remember that phrase, if he wanted to, he would. That phrase implies if he wanted to, he would because he can, because that's who he is at a fundamental level. That's why if he wanted to, he would, because that's in his nature. It's like, that like tell like it's in a scorpion's nature to like sting and kill. It's in a man's nature to go after what he wants. So what that translates to, it's in a man's nature to always set the date, to always pursue, to not say, "Oh, no pressure. I don't want to, push too far. I don't want to escalate in the appropriate way because I don't want you to feel uncomfortable." It's like they're thinking, why would a guy be thinking like that? They don't know. Okay, so does that make sense, Michael Nolan? Josh the Mangalot says, huge blind spot. We see hypermasculine guys and see through their act, and we're like, why that dude's being so extra? 100%, Josh. Yeah, women do not see through much. They see through some of your guys' acts, but not that much. Even me, I'm still uncovering. I'm like, oh my gosh. So that wasn't like real. Like my boyfriend had to learn that. He had to study that. It wasn't just natural. They want to believe that the guys just spring from the womb being like an alpha. They don't realize the guy learned the alpha behavior somewhere along the way, and then like a magician in a magic show, it just seems like dazzling and fantastic to a woman all along. The magician's like a nerd who's like studying magic and like practicing hours and hours a day since he was little because he wants to impress girls. You know what I mean? They just say, oh wow, I'm dazzled by the show. So yeah, you got to remember that. So Josh the Mangala says, I would say natural hypermasculine you see at a very young age, mostly puberty. After that, most guys just learn our copy. So could you say a bit more about that, Josh? Like, are you saying at puberty, like you will see that kind of natural hypermasculinity, but then like maybe some guys don't have it, and then everyone's just learning and copying after that, or so Jesus says, awesome analogy with the wizard nerd in the magic show, 10 out of 10. Yes, my boyfriend Beardo, a long time ago, he actually came up with this thing about kind of like a magician, right? But then today, I came up with the kind of thing about like the nerd part, right? Because that's supposedly the magician stereotype, am I right? But Red Extra PUA says, please say this live on your channel. I have to go to sleep, but I will check this out later. Respect for Poland. Okay, Red Extra, I will try to leave it up in case something really bad happens and I might have to take it down, but barring that, I will probably leave it up. All right, so let me go looking for some questions here. This is actually tea. Sirloin says, it's like Robert Greene said, seduction is an act. Is that from The Art of Seduction? I'm a big Robert Greene fan. What else did he say about seduction being an act? KMD Lapper says, true, there's a girl who would always say she wants a man with a plan all the time when we used to date. Yep, a man with a plan. In other words, a hyper-masculine man with a plan for sure. Samuel Hernandez, thank you so much for your super chat. And it's your third super chat on a live stream. Thanks, Samuel. And let me see if I missed your question. If you guys super chat and you have a question, and I'm not saying you necessarily do, Samuel, but if you put it in with the super chat, then I'll be able to find it in the chat. But I'll look just in case you have a question, Samuel, down below. But thank you so much. Dark Dragonov has a hot take. Robert Greene sucks. It's interesting at getting insights from a sociopath, but it's ultimately dogmatic. I couldn't disagree more, Drake. Robert Greene is no sociopath. I mean, he seems like very empathetic, and he's not dogmatic, in my opinion, at all. But have you read the books, Dark? I love Robert Greene. I'm a big fan. KMD says, I never really understood what she meant at the time by man with a plan, but now I totally do, thanks to you, lol. Wonderful, KMD. Okay, that is huge. Just understanding that is big, is important. You now have the correct frame for meeting women's expectations in datings and not just wandering down the wrong path in the woods, in the Appalachian Trail, and dying alone in the forest because you can't find the trail. Okay? Yeah, get on the trail. Get on the right trail. So Dark Dragonov says, I listened to 48 Laws of Power with the 50th Law on Audible. What? So how did you not like it? They're fucking amazing. I've read the 48 Laws of Power. I read the 50th Law. I've read the Art of Seduction, although I don't remember everything in the Art of Seduction because I read that like when it first came out. So, but yeah, they're fucking amazing. Especially, I love the 50th Law. It's a freaking amazing book. So I don't understand what. What was wrong with it, in your opinion? And then Brielle says, I've read 48 Laws of Power recently, and I realized that many of his laws are used here in Brazil by criminals in power. Interesting, Brielle. Yeah, very interesting. Uh, Jose Rios says Corey Wayne says not to take advice from women. Well, we don't want to argue with Corey Wayne, okay? Yeah, Corey Wayne and I have beef. Um, I've talked shit about Corey Wayne multiple times, so if you guys want to be team Corey Wayne, that's up to you, okay? Um, that's totally fine. I mean, I've read The 3% Man, and I thought he had some good advice, some absolutely absurd, ridiculous, bizarre, hilariously bad advice as well. And yeah, but there was some fine advice. What do you think of him, Jose? Oh, Seahorse says, please, the above question. All right, I'm looking for a Seahorse. I apologize, like the chat. Okay, here we go. I found it, Seahorse. So you say, and Seahorse, thank you for, just trying to bring it to my attention because it's not easy with the chat running. Like sometimes when I look back at my lives the next day, I'm like, oh man, that was such a good question. I missed so many questions. So my apologies. But he says, what makes a man a perfect lover? What unlocks her mystery and are essential to creating intimacy and safety so a woman can open fully? Tie in with what undoes you in the bedroom. Okay, Seahorse. Well, in my opinion, what makes a man a perfect lover is, well, I mean, it's gotta depend on the girl, right? But okay, I'll just say, like, for me, um, I mean, I kind of feel like, yeah, I mean, it's really gotta depend on the girl, but for me, like, I do feel like Beardo is kind of the perfect lover because, well, there's a few things that I think, you know. Okay, so let me think. So there's one thing I'm thinking about. So, okay. Is it okay, Seahorse, if I just say for me? Because I mean, I don't know what the perfect lover for everyone is. Like, I have to think about that. Okay. I am watching a course right now by Kenneth Play, who's kind of an expert. And it's a course called Beyond Satisfied. And it's basically about how to be the perfect lover. So I am learning a lot from him. But I'll just speak from like my own experience, I guess, that it's a good question. So I'm thinking, what makes a man a perfect lover? What unlocks her mystery and is essential to creating intimacy and safety so a woman can open fully? Okay, well, all right. It's a complicated question. First of all, okay, he needs to have, I'll just start listing some stuff off. One, he actually has to view her orgasm as very, very important. Okay, that's probably the number one thing. That just a lot of guys basically have this belief that a woman might enjoy sex without coming, enjoy sex without an orgasm, enjoy sex just PIV penetration. Versus, like, for example, Beardo, he takes my orgasm and my pleasure, my preferences sexually, like, very seriously. Like, there's basically never a time when I don't have an orgasm in the bedroom. Um, because, like, he's always like, now it's your turn, basically. Like, if he comes first or whatever, it's just like, he's never just gonna, like, ditch me. So that's unfortunately not super common in my opinion, because, many women aren't just, like, sticking up for their orgasm, like, no, it's really important to me that I have an orgasm every time. So, that's number 1, I would say. Number 2 is, in my opinion, okay, so are essential to creating intimacy and safety so a woman can open fully. Well, he's gotta have, like, good emotional skills, like, kind of good skill like, kind of conversational skills, like, if something goes wrong, if something he does something that I don't like, the guy is able to just be like, "Okay, that makes total sense. I understand. Like, I'm sorry." Um, and just kind of, like, be accepting because a lot of guys, especially ones that I slept with before Beardo, they're really defensive in a way. They're very, like, just it's like if you try to tell them something that's not going well or that you don't like or that's hurting or it's too sensitive or something, it's like they're just kind of like, "No, no, no, I'm doing it right. I know what I'm doing." And it's like just kind of the humility to be like, "Oh, like, okay, no problem. Like, I'm sorry." And just kinda keep going and, like, apologize. So that's really important too, and I know that's, like, a lot of what women complain about too. 'Cause he'll just be like, "I tried telling him what I like, and he just won't do it." So, there's that, okay? Then another thing I think is something also my boyfriend is really good at, is being in touch with his anger, with his lust, with his dark side, with not being afraid to touch, like, taboo topics, with not being afraid of kind of, like, the anger and, like, not actual violence, but kinda, like, dark, abusive, like, impulses in himself, but in a safe, controlled way for my pleasure. But a lot of guys, they are too scared to touch that part of themselves. They don't want to. They want to be a guy who's a good guy, who never abuses a woman, who never, you know, is a bad person, who always makes a woman feel safe. But in order to do, like, kink stuff, yes, you have to, like, be consensual, you have to have discussions, but at the same time, a woman wants to see almost like the full unbridled power of masculinity in a safe way. And so if a guy is too afraid to let go like that, it's just it's like imagine a woman who's just always like ashamed of her body or something. She's always like covering herself and she never wants to feel like sexy and just like beautiful and just like slutty and just like fully embracing her sexuality. I don't know, maybe that's like a parallel. Okay. But like for a woman, seeing a guy just kind of like in his raw, masculine, dark side in a way is like extremely erotic and hot, in my opinion. So that's a big one. Okay. Like my boyfriend, he basically has like a fake, I call it like, and this is very controversial, like abusive boyfriend persona. Okay. He's never actually abusing me. It's all just kind of like role play, right? That he kind of role plays this really kind of like angry, like toxic guy. And many guys, they're not gonna do it because they're like, "That's the last thing on earth I am. My mother told me, like, never do that to a woman." Okay, but what you're forgetting is this is if a woman wants it, if she's into it, if you guys discuss it, if you agree, then you gotta go there sometimes. And I know I'm not the only one who craves stuff like that. And if we got, uh, Any women still on the chat? We'll see what they say. But yeah, those are 3 big ones. Mangaka says, "How much do you charge for a one-on-one session?" I charge $60, Mangaka. And if anybody wants one, just email me, MyNonLeatherLife@gmail.com. And I would love to do it. So, KMD, oh my gosh. Slight update on the girl from today. She wanted her boyfriend to yell at their neighbors because they were being noisy and it woke her up, but he wouldn't. Said she wanted him to be a man. Lol. Yes, KMD. Right on topic. Am I right? It's like deep down, this is kind of a mix of the hyper-masculinity bias and like the abusive boyfriend persona, right? Because it's like she's kind of thinking, why won't he protect her from the neighbors? Why won't he kind of like be a man to her neighbors and like stand up for her, right? Like, why isn't he able to just like tap into his dark side and unleash it? So this is a big part of the hypermasculinity bias, really. That's kind of what's at the core of it, really, is what I'm just talking about. How, like women, what they find like attractive about masculinity, what's making them heterosexual, what's making them attracted to men in the first place is kind of like the intuition or whatever that what every man possesses, like in his core, whether or not he's being a man, he is a man, and so he possesses kind of the natural, this is what women are thinking, the natural instinct for being able to tap into his dark side better than a woman. If Does that make sense? So, you see, she's kinda confused, like, why won't he just be a man? Why can't he just tap into his dark side and, like, yell at the neighbors and be like, "Shut the fuck up, my girlfriend's sleeping." Like, you know, like, "My girlfriend means everything to me," and, like, I don't even know what you guys would say, but it's kind of like that idea in the woman's head where if the girlfriend's in trouble, the man will stick up for her. The man will fight the other guys for her. Maybe not literally, but verbally, let's say. Maybe through negotiations or whatever, but that's kind of what women are, that's the hypermasculinity bias, thinking that's natural for a man. It doesn't take, you know, they don't understand that maybe, like, I've had multiple guys in consults tell me, I was raised by my mom and the dad left her, and so she told me, like, never, ever, like, hurt a woman like I've been hurt, basically, and it kinda scares them, and it kinda makes them feel like the worst thing I could possibly ever do is, like, be a toxic man. It's almost, like, scared of, like, who they are or something, I don't know. Or maybe that's my hypermasculine bias. What do you guys think? Hello, Adam. Seahorse says, "Thanks, lovely response. I actually owe a lot to you and Coach Corey Wayne for great success with women and the current love I have at the moment. Both of you are so essential. Thanks again." Amazing, Seahorse. Absolutely amazing. Yeah, and I'm glad you are not choosing sides with me and Corey Wayne. I'm glad you learned from Corey Wayne, and I'm glad you're also getting some stuff from me too. Honestly, that's what I want from you guys. Like, I want you guys to just learn from everybody to get the best results. And I'm curious, Seahorse, what did you learn from Corey Wayne that you thought was, like, really good? So Austin says, I've definitely seen girls get turned on by guys showing the passion, but there's so much shame and hate when men act masculine these days. Right. Well, you've got to do it, with the person who wants it at the right appropriate time and place. Okay. Sharma says, little corny wine. Richard Hughes says, you're responsible for your own orgasm. I mean, I think ultimately, you can't force anybody to give you an orgasm, but, if I just said to my boyfriend, like, you're responsible for your own orgasm, I mean, that kind of isn't a very good sexual attitude to have in the bedroom. Like, I mean, obviously, in some ways it can be good, but it's just saying, no, you don't get to fuck me. Like, you can just masturbate in front of me because you're responsible for your own orgasm or something. It's just a little intense, but in another way, I agree with you that you should know what makes you orgasm and you cannot force anyone to make you orgasm. But hopefully they're willing and wanting to make you orgasm. So Georgie says, I think it's a partnership. Both are responsible for each other's orgasm. Yeah, I mean, pretty much. Seahorse says, my woman has great feedback for both you and Corey Wayne. I share both of you with her and just makes her respond in such glorious ways. So sweet that you cover your own expertise. Oh, wow. Does Corey Wayne give like sex tips and stuff? Or I didn't know that. Maybe he writes about that in the 3% Man. I just forgot. But so Siva says, I mean, I don't like how you phrased this, Siva. You may act like you didn't see this question, but can I ask you why women lie about what they actually find attractive in a guy? Well, it's interesting, Siva, because I feel like in the first part of your sentence, you kind of made like a very negative assumption about me. And in the second part of your sentence, you made a very negative assumption about women in general. So you may act like you didn't see this question, okay? But can I ask you why women lie about what they actually find attractive in a guy? Okay, first of all, you're assuming they lie. Now, they could be misleading for reasons other than they're lying. For example, the blind spots, okay? For example, you know, scientists have done many studies on like the halo effect, right? And like the science of beauty and how it influences us in ways we don't even realize. If you ask someone, oh, why do you like this applicant for the job? Oh, I just think they're really hardworking and educated, and they seem like a really good person. It turns out it's just because they're more beautiful, right? So, is the person in that study lying because they didn't understand a subconscious blind spot that they were experiencing? I mean, much of our motivations, the reasons why we do things, they're hidden from us. So if we can't just state them like it's the easiest thing in the world, we're not liars. So I feel like you're taking the most negative interpretation of women possible, that if they don't understand everything about, mating and dating and their evolutionary drives, okay, that are literally hidden from us deep in our subconscious, that they're liars. So now you're just taking away the most negative possible interpretation of women, thinking like, I mean, it sounds like misogynistic at that point. They're not lying just because they're not experts on dating psychology. Okay? If you just take a random woman off the street, she's not going to know all the hidden motivations and triggers that drive people to find mates. That doesn't mean they're liars. Like, if you ask, if you ask somebody about like nuclear physics off the street and they didn't know about nuclear physics and they said something really stupid, would you say you're a liar? Or would you just be like, okay, she doesn't know? So I don't like that. But yeah, anyway. Box looks like, thank you so much for your super chat. And he says, love at first sight. What is love at first sight, Box? Did I miss something? But thank you so much for your super chat. But could you explain this love at first sight thing, Box? Thank you, Len Oaks. And hello, J1 the God. And he says, just want to come in and remind everyone to like the girls who like you. Your life will be way better. Yeah, I agree with you, J1 the God. Yes, it's very important. Take the opportunities you do have and practice. John Paradise says, if you're responsible for your own orgasm, then you can have it alone, all by yourself. Well, exactly. Exactly. Hello, John Paradise. I'm sure how to date women in their early 20s. I'm an 18-year-old brown dude asking for a friend. Um, I mean, I think like the normal stuff should apply. I think it's going to be harder if you're 18 and you're trying to date women like much older than you, because most women want to date guys who are slightly older than them. So I would try to like date some other 18-year-olds, honestly. But why do you want to date women in their early 20s rather than just 18-year-olds like yourself? Brian says, what is the time talk limit for $60? Well, it's for an hour. Sometimes we go over, but that's kind of the general thing. Okay. Um, Red Wave says, I'm scared of taking risks. I don't want to lose friendships or be seen differently for expressing romantic feelings. Yeah, Red Waves, I feel like you have to do it in the right way. Okay? Like, there's bad ways to do it and there's good ways to do it. And a lot of times I feel like guys are just thinking, in their head, they're thinking they have to take like this crazy risk or they have to confess romantic feelings all at once or they have to just go from 0 to 100 rather than basically taking my video The Runway to heart and going 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. Oh, she doesn't like 40, so back to 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, like that. So, yeah, it can kind of seem scary if you think like, oh, I just got to be like this crazy abusive boyfriend right from the start, when really that's appropriate once you're in a relationship or you're dating and you feel comfortable with each other and you guys have been talking about sex. That's like much further up the runway. So, yeah, I mean, that's some of the things I do in the consultations, honestly, as I can help you go through like the whole process of dating and how to like escalate in the appropriate way. And Beardo can help me with that sometimes if he wants to or give you perspective. But yeah. Hey, the Music for Soul, thank you so much for your super chat. And he says, is it a good idea to practice with sex workers? Honestly, the Music for Soul, legally, I think it is. If you're practicing with legal sex workers, like it definitely would be good. It would be fantastic. Um, if I was a guy, I would. So, for sure. And I think you can ask them like ask them your questions and everything. Like they have so much experience with men. Like they could teach you a lot. So, yes, I think it is definitely a good idea. But like with legal sex workers, they have to get like STD tests and all this stuff, so that's actually a lot more safe than the other way, right? But Ron Damon says, Victoria, I'd like to get your input on girls who grew up with self-image issues. Oh, and thanks again, the Music for Soul. And what's your thoughts as well? So back to Ron Damon, he says, Victoria, I'd like to get your input on girls who grew up with self-image issues and now they're hot, but they still see themselves as ugly. Okay, Ron, what about them? But yeah, that's gonna be kind of common. And I think what you need to do is just be very accepting, be very reassuring, build them up, tell them, like, you're so beautiful. I accept every part of your body. Like, you're so gorgeous. Um, I don't see you that way. To me, you're like a goddess. Just really be encouraging, reassuring, praising, accepting. Show them how you see them. And slowly but surely, they will kind of lose their inhibitions. Like, for example, on me, I know it sounds kind of strange, but like, for example, I used to be very insecure about my breasts, right? Even though I was a stripper. And I mean, this was like before I became a stripper. But even after I became a stripper, I wasn't insecure about them. But I just kind of thought, like, because when I was a stripper, it was like more, I say people like were all into my, obsessed with my butt. But then anyway, my boyfriend, he's just like really built me up so much. Like he's obsessed. Like they're so amazing. They're so gorgeous. They're so beautiful. I'm obsessed. Like every time he looks at me, he's just like, my mind is blown. Like this is the most fantastic thing I've ever seen. Like how could you have ever thought, they weren't like perfect or blah, 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 blah. And that's built me up. So now I think, oh yeah, they're amazing. They're fantastic. Like they're amazing. But he really like built me up so much just with his compliments and his encouragement and just like he's obsessed. Okay. So yeah. So Red Wave says, I understand the slow escalation part. I'm just scared at even hinting anything. When I get hints from girls, I kind of gaslight myself into thinking they were just being friendly. Except there's always a difference. So Red Waves, like, I'm curious, if you just had to, like, picture yourself in the moment where, they're hinting you're getting hints, and then, like, you immediately go into gaslighting. Just write down like a list of like 4 things, 4 to 5 things. Like, what are you telling yourself? Like, are you telling yourself, "I'm creepy," like, "No girls will ever like me," like, "I'm not attractive," um, you know, "This is hopeless," like, "I'm not the kinda guy girls like." Like, what kinda things are you telling yourself in that moment? I'm curious. Mm, Desert hoax, this doesn't sound good. How do you explain a girlfriend suddenly starting to behave towards you in a shitty, disrespectful manner after they found someone else they like? Ugh, sounds bad. Sounds like, I mean, is it time to break up, Desert Hoax? Is it time to just be like, I'm not going to take this? Like, what is she doing? And do you think it's salvageable? J1 the God says, hey Vic, was it you talking about talking girls to orgasms not too long ago? Like purely orally stimulated, touch exclusive orgasms. If so, can you please touch on that? No pun intended. Okay, well, yeah, I mean, telling them like an erotic fantasy, like if you can get them to tell you what their fantasy is, and then you tell it back to them while they touch themselves, and all you're doing is telling like a dirty erotic story, that will give them like insane orgasms. Okay. And I'm not the only one who likes that. Like in the book The Heart of Dominance, this guy Anton Fullman, he's been like a pro dom for like decades. He's talking about that too. And that's what he does with his submissives. And that he also says that gives him like the craziest, most intense orgasms of all, because you're getting them to basically tell you what is the hottest possible fantasy in their mind. So it's like the most purest psychological stimulation. And then it's kind of like tickling yourself, though, right? Like when you're telling it to yourself, but then when someone else is telling it to you, it's like crazy, crazy good. So, yeah. Desert Hoaxes. Say the name of the dominant expert again in his book or something. So it's not necessarily it's a good book. It's very good, but it might not be like exactly what you're looking for because it was kind of more about like just different things like doms deal with. It's called The Heart of Dominance. I thought it was really good, but there is another book on dominance that I thought might be even better. Um, I'm just forgetting what it's called now, but it was a wild book. It might be in my book recommendations list. I forgot if I put that one in there as well, but it's in my links in my videos, my Amazon like web links. Head niece says my good looks are fading now, unfortunately. What's happening, head niece? Are you like losing your hair or something like that? Or all right, let me find a new question here. So head niece says gained some weight over the years. Yes, head niece, I know the feeling. Some hair loss, but not too bad. Yes, looks maxing is always a journey. You just got to take it step by step. So John Mondragon says, "Hi, do I have a chance if she says we'll probably not meet? Good luck on everything. Nice meeting you. Can I wait until her mood change has been going on a few times?" Okay, that does not sound good, John Mondragon. She says, "We'll probably not meet." So I guess she's saying like she doesn't want to meet. And then the good luck on everything. Nice meeting you. That sounds almost like a goodbye. But what did you say right before the like were you like, "Hey, will we meet in the future?" And then she said, "We'll probably not meet." I mean, it's a very like kind of like indirect way of saying it, but yeah, it doesn't look good. I would just move on. Try to do better with the next one. It sounds kind of like a straight up rejection to me. Unfortunately, John. Oh, Box. Thank you so much. And he comes in with the hot take game is looks based. In what sense do you think so, Box? I think that looks can make everything you do easier. This is what my friend Philosophy Junkies and I were discussing, and this is what he was telling me that he's noticed that once he looks maxed so much, like he's changed like so much about his face, and he's noticed like completely different results with women. And he's noticed that the game he does have goes farther, like women laugh longer at his jokes and stuff like that. However, I think there's more to game, aka understanding women, understanding what women expect, understanding what women desire, understanding what women want to hear, to feel, to experience. um it's more than just looks. That's not to say looks is not extremely important, but what do you think about it, Box? What's your take and what's your thoughts? And thanks again so much for the super chat again. Jim won't shut up once says, also, love your channel. You're a genius at revealing the woman's mind. Thanks, Jim. It's very nice of you. Unfortunately, I don't know the answer to your question about how ADHD may affect a woman's interest in a dating situation. Like if the woman has ADHD, I don't know because I actually thought I might have ADHD, but then I took a test recently on ADHD and I scored like quite low. So I'm like, okay, I guess I don't know what ADHD is like. So Head Niche says, both say the same thing to flirt. The ugly guy equals a creep. The handsome man equals funny and confident. Well, give me an example of what both of these guys are saying, because I think, there might be some truth to what you're saying, but if an ugly guy said the right thing, he's not always going to be seen as a creep. So it depends just tell me what in your view right now they're both saying. Jim won't shut up once says, I'm 57. Learned this. Women want you desperately to be confident in your own skin and to be a calm and confident man. It's huge to learn that. I agree, Jim won't shut up. It's huge. And I agree. They want you to be that. I completely agree. And like, Jim, like, how did you learn that? Like, was there a turning point or anything like that? So Nick says, do you ever purposely ask your man for something when you know the answer is going to be no? No, I don't. Because, like, I don't really get this, Nick. Because, like, I know the answer is going to be no, but are you implying, like, I might do it because I want to hear a no? Because I think it's sexy or something? Or explain that, Nick. So the HRK says, why would a girl give her number insistently when I refused the first time purposely, but I want to avoid sex and friend zone? I'm very confused, HRK, because the girl's giving her your number insistently, so I guess she likes you, right? But you want to avoid sex and the friend zone, so I'm interpreting that as you don't want to have sex with her and you don't want to be your friend. So why do you care? And why can't you just straight up reject her and be like, listen, I'm not interested in being your friend, not interested in sex, so there's no point in you giving me your number. I'm confused. Jim won't shut up says, Victoria, had my third marriage failed and I was tired of choosing the wrong women just because they were the ones who came along. And so I started trying to learn more about the female mind just a couple of years ago, and you have been helpful too. Amazing, Jim. So, like, were these girls kind of like the sexual aggressors? Like, they liked you and they kind of pushed the relationship forward, and you were just kind of like, okay, and like along for the ride. But you didn't really get to choose the girls who you were attracted to because you didn't have those skills because you didn't know enough about the female mind. Or I'm filling in a lot of blanks there, Jim, and just guessing, but what's the real story there? Aslan 591 says, just want to say I'm forever grateful for your advice and insight, Victoria. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh, Aslan, thank you so much. Has it helped Aslan? Like, I'm curious. Like, tell me more. Like, did anything change your perspective, or Let me know. Dan D says Victoria thinks the most of us are ugly, lol. You know, Dan D, I don't. I'm sure I do not think you are ugly. I talk about like looks maxing and stuff just because I know how important it is. And even if you have like the right, even if you have like great bone structure, you got great hair, you got great features, until you're really like tweaking and maximizing, you might still be getting rejected a lot. Okay. I mean, it's similar to how like you can see a girl without makeup and then she puts on makeup in the outfit and the hair. And it's just like, what the? She looks like a goddess or something. Like, have you seen those transformations on TikTok where it's like girls without makeup or like, you know, like for example, like strippers in the dressing room. Like you'd never guess they're strippers, right? But then like when they come out, it's like, oh my gosh, they got the heels, they got the outfit, they got the makeup, they got everything's like looking perfect, right? So it's similar for guys. Like if you guys can just really submit to the societal attractiveness consensus template, you can do a lot better on dating. That doesn't mean you're ugly. But if you define ugly as no success with women, then by your own definition, you might be ugly. But I don't think that's what ugly is. I mean, I think a lot of you guys look great. However, I recognize that it might not be enough to attract women unless you start putting on the beauty costume, the looks maxing costume. Hopefully, you'll stop short from surgeries and whatnot, but a lot of guys are going there too, right? Crazy. But there's a lot you can do without that. Box. Box. That's a great question. I want to get Beardo's take on that because I feel like he would have like the perfect line there. How to ask a woman to dance. But like let me know where you are. You at like the club or whatever. Um because there's different ways to approach that depending on like how drunk you are, but you can just kind of like start dancing with her. Like you can kind of dance in like the vicinity, like by yourself with your friends, and then you kind of make eye contact from afar, kind of like smile and kind of play off the way she's dancing, and then you can just kind of start dancing. You don't have to actually ask a woman to dance. You can just kind of dance, okay? And then, like, the more you're connecting, it's like you could get closer. You could take her arm, her hand, and kinda, like, do a little dance move like that. You could spin her around. You could spin her close to you, and then you can come in and start saying something like, "You're so sexy," or, like, "You're gorgeous," or, "You're such a good dancer. What's your name?" That's always a good way to start. But you don't have to straight up, "May I have this dance, milady?" But, I mean, depends on what kind of dance venue you're at, you know? But that's basically, in my opinion, the best way to do it because I used to go to clubs a lot, and that's what I liked. I like to just have chemistry while dancing with a guy, kind of like while we're both kinda dancing separately. And then once the chemistry is kinda, like, established in, like, when you're dancing together, then you can kinda come in and make the move. J1 the God says, "Just buy her a drink, honestly." Yeah, that's another great way to do it, especially, like, if you're at a bar or whatever. You could just lots of guys do that to me, like, "Oh, okay, buy you a drink?" And then, like, "Do you wanna dance?" After you kind of both have the drink. Yeah, that's a good way to do it too, J1 the God. But, yeah, what kinda dance thing is this box? Jim won't shut up one says, "Victoria, you could just take her hand and say, 'Dance with me nicely,' but as a statement, avoid asking anything." Yeah, I agree. That's pretty good too. Jim won't shut up. I think that's very good as well. I agree. Asking, it could come off a bit weak, like, But I like what you said, Jim won't shut up. That could be very good as well. Yes. It's not it's not like she never would dance with you if you asked if she could dance with you, but I feel like she'll be more likely to dance with you if you don't kind of give her the impression that you're kind of like nervously asking. So, yeah, Jim won't shut up. One says, always take the stronger approach, be in charge of the man. Exactly. Jim, it's good. Very good. I'm glad you're giving him some good wisdom in that chat, Jim. So I'm reading your former comments, Jim. And you say, I married a spending addict, a serious bipolar patient who hid it for years, and a woman who I still respect but is a communication nightmare. I started looking at how my choices were the real problem instead of blaming it on them. It's what I needed to learn how to find a woman that I want. My life isn't over yet. I'm 100 times the man I ever was before. Amazing, Jim. And Jim, I'm curious, what resources or books or courses or YouTube channels have helped you the most, like, besides mine or whatever, but what have you found, like, most helpful in kinda understanding what you were doing wrong along the way? I'm curious, Jim. Red waves, that's interesting. Looks maxing makes sense, but the term has become more about extreme obsession and even pseudoscience than general self-care. Could you elaborate on that, red waves? It sounds very interesting. Johnny Guitar says, "Do you think no-fap works?" Well, I did do a consultation with somebody who it was really working for, okay? And he actually told me, "You should, like, recommend it to guys on your channel." And before I was very, like, kind of, "Nah, that's ridiculous." Well, first of all, a lot of guys believe that, like, semen retention has some, like, magical power, and it's like, that's getting a little ridiculous, right? But can the idea of no fap work? I think it can because, like, this guy was telling me, you know, he basically wouldn't allow himself to have an orgasm until it was with a woman. So of course that it created like extreme motivation to date instead of just like watching porn or whatever and like masturbating all the time. So he said it created like he was kind of just like very, very motivated to work on his skills, to set up dates, to go out to like bars or whatever and just like try to make it happen. And he also said he had like a lot of energy because, it can take a lot out of you to be like orgasming and like replenishing it or whatever. And so he told me he was just like really motivated to like work on himself, like clean his house and, you know, organize things and so he thought it worked. What do you guys think? Johnny says, "I noticed I have more energy and I'm a little more aggressive in a good way, more risky, Interesting, Johnny. Very interesting. Jim won't shut up one says, YouTube has a lot of resources. I didn't buy anything. I read a few free articles, but mostly I watched Dan Bacon, Marnie on YouTube. Courtney Ryan is good, but honestly, you are one of the best. Thank you so much, Jim." Interesting. So what are like Marnie and Courtney Ryan? Because I hear about them sometimes, like talk about like So you think like their advice is good, and what kind of stuff do they advise? I should really check them out. Eric says Stefan Heeman helped me a ton. The girlfriend training program, haha. His squirting training video is excellent too. Interesting, Stefan. What's that like? That sounds interesting. Like, what does it kind of teach you in that? I'm really curious. Jesus says, I agree. Not touching yourself lights a fire under your ass to go after a real partner. Yep. Yep. Jim won't shut up one says, Marty does a lot of flirting advice and how to approach strongly. She isn't as good on the runway issue, though. Nobody has nailed that like you. Ooh, thanks, Jim. Interesting. So she has a lot of good flirting advice. Oh, that's interesting. I should check some of those out because I think that would be good for me to learn too. I mean, how like how best guys, should flirt. Like what did she say about like flirting? Like what's some of the stuff if you can remember anything she said? Adam says Hypnotica's modern day sexual man is the best sexuality course I've ever seen. Really? That sounds really interesting. I gotta write some of these things down after the chat because I'm actually watching a course myself, Kenneth Play, Beyond Satisfied. And I'm actually loving it. But this sounds interesting. I'm gonna write this one down. Hypnotica? Modern day sexual man. Interesting. I'm gonna write down Marnie's flirting videos. Any other recommendations? Okay. Brielle says Casey Zander is great. Brielle, I do not like Casey Zander. I have watched some of his videos and I've never liked him, but I'm not saying you guys can't get stuff from him. Some people have told me they've gotten a lot from him. I just, every video I've seen of his, because my friend sends me at least 4 videos I've seen of his. And I didn't like any of them. I hated them. Bobby Rio's channel is the best on showing how to flirt, Francisco says. Okay, I'm writing that down. Bobby Rio flirting. Adam says Steve Picus, white tire tantra. What's that about, Adam? Tantra? Or is it more than that? Jimmy won't shut up one says she talks about being confident, funny, touching her, disagreeing with her, and not being afraid of her at all. Ooh, that's good. Good stuff. Bobby Rio's good too, yes. Jim won't shut up one says, I don't like Casey either, Victoria. Oh, finally, somebody who doesn't like Casey Zander. Why not, Jim? Yeah, every single video I've seen, I'm just like, what the fuck was that? Like, what the? Like, it's literally, I'm just face palming so hard. But why don't you like him, Jim? Eric says, and this was Eric, what were you referencing there? Oh, yeah, the girlfriend training program. Let me write that one down. It's a wild name, isn't it? It's girlfriend training program. Stefan Heeman. Okay. He says, it's heart-centered and open-minded about honest communication with women, female psychology and their views of dating and sex, how to master your emotions and stand in your power. Sounds good, Eric. Sounds good. Jim says, you got me laughing so hard about Casey Zander, Jim, because, yeah. Bernice Fenton says, hey, Victoria, do you recommend dating a work colleague? I'm just curious what you think about this. Bernice. Now, are you a girl, Bernice, or can that also be a guy's name? I'm not sure, but Bernice, I think it's like really, situation by situation. I mean, a lot of people say, don't shit where you eat or whatever, but I think it could be fine. What do you think, Bernice? Jim on the God says, Vic, please confirm. You said look up Anton Fullman in response to the oral simulation question, right? I mean, you don't even have to. That's like just one part of his book. That's probably like, 3 paragraphs or something in his book. So you don't need to read the whole book for that. But yeah, telling erotic stories to the girl you're dating, I mean, women like, you know, erotic audio, women like reading erotic stories. That's kind of why we get like romance novels where the sex scenes are written out, including a storyline, and you guys get porn. So, an erotic story about female fantasies, specifically her female fantasies, about the kinky themes women often respond to that you could see in romance novels is like gonna light up her brain like a lightning storm for sure. As long as she's into it, of course. Evan Wells 1. Hello, Evan Wells 1, and thank you so much for your super chat. And he says, Hi. Hiya. How do you pronounce that? Hiya. Do all your lives get loaded afterwards? Not all of them, Evan. No, they do not. But most of them. So, yeah. But I'll probably leave this one up because I only said one semi-embarrassing thing, so that's fine. That's okay. Um, so Johnny Guitar says, "What do you think a man should read to understand that fantasy and kink talk?" So, it's funny, Johnny Guitar, because like as I told you, I'm taking this sex course by Kenneth Play, right? And he has a section on kink and domination, and it's funny to me. Like a lot of like kink educational stuff, I don't even see him really going into it. Like they focus so much on not the psychological edge play stuff, that's for sure. But I mean, I think that's what's turning most women on because that's what's in their books. That's what in like the fantasy books women read. But the best way I think you can learn about it, I always say this, but go on FetLife and start reading the writings of women. Start looking at their fetish list. Start going into the forums on FetLife about all the different kinks and reading the posts of actual women because that's just like a bunch of horny people being honest about what they're interested in sexually. So that's the best way to do it. You can also read all the popular romance novels and all the not popular romance novels because it's all the same kind of stuff. Read between the lines. That's another good way to do it. So, yeah. Adam says, Victoria, you should check out Models by Mark Manson. It teaches flirting, lifestyle, inner confidence. It's the best men's dating book ever written. Yeah, I really should because I know that's a really popular one that people talk about all the time. Okay, I wrote it down. Because, like, all this kink educational stuff, it's like they make it very sanitized when it's not. Freedom Fox 1. Women like it when you make up stories involving the two of you. It's a way to lighten a date and introduce sexual tension. How do you do that, Freedom Fox 1? Francisco Collins. I second Models too. Read it after I massively failed on female gazing. How did you fail, Francisco? And did it teach you like the female gaze, Francisco? Smartwater says, should you call a girl hot? How do I show interest when she's clearly hot? Okay, so you definitely want to call her hot at the appropriate time to call her hot. which on the runway is when things start getting hot and heavy. Like when you're kissing, when you're making out, when you're having sex, and possibly even right before that. Those are all good times to start calling her hot. When the chemistry starts heating up and things start getting hot, you could call her hot. Be like, I mean, it's not necessarily the best compliment. It can be like if she's like in lingerie in front of you, it's a good compliment. Okay? Like you're so hot because then it's but if it's kind of like right before you even kiss, it's not that good because it can almost seem at that point like I am, you know, it how do I put this? It just seems a little bit weaker. But when you're just looking at a girl in like lingerie or in her underwear or in the bedroom or she's naked, that's a perfect time to call the girl hot for sure. Art of Evan says, oh, Evan, Art of Evan, probably. That Mode 1 author was a great tip. Thanks for that. He expresses that intense, angry energy you describe sometimes. Yeah, he does. He really does. Like, he really had that, for sure. Like, it was really funny. He would get mad a lot, like, on his channel. It was just, like, super fun and enjoyable. Unfortunately, he died suddenly, like, just completely out of the blue, it seemed like, but yeah, you can still watch all his old lives on his channel. I believe they're still up, and yeah, he was just so funny and, like, he really did just such a good job with that angry energy you're talking about. Jim Won't Shut Up says, "Victoria, I think if you and her are already at that stage, then you say that stuff. Don't put words before the feelings and behaviors fit, or girls just feel it's all wrong." I'm pretty sure I agree with you, Jim. I think, if I know what you're saying. So Jim on the Gus says, Vic, I've been talking to this girl for about a month and a bit, and we've built up a wonderful sexual tension. Most of our plans to meet fall through to do something on her side, mostly reasonable. Is this salvageable? I know it's not a very clear question. Yeah, J1 the God, I mean, this happens to like a lot of people. It's like the girl just doesn't want to meet in person. She's like flaky. Now, there's like a couple things you can do here. Like, one, just kind of play the long game and basically hope that one day she's feeling lonely and bored and you don't get like offended. You don't get like, butthurt or whatever. You just kind of keep friendly, flirting, reaching out, suggesting dates every now and then, not, overloading her, but just keep reaching out. And then one of these days, just make, you know what? I got nothing better to do. Why not? Okay. Or it could be that she really is super busy and she just, you know, you could just keep suggesting dates and be like, when are you free? Or whatever. Um, but also it could be because like you built up all the sexual tension and now she's kind of nervous to meet you because she feels that it will get sexual too soon. Like that she's kind of almost because she's talked about sex with you or because you guys have sexted or flirted too heavily that now you almost expect sex or that's at least what she's nervous about. So, in order, if you sense that might be the case, another thing you could do is just kind of be like, listen, like, I know things have gotten like really sexual between us, and I love that, and it's fucking hot. But I just want you to know that, like, if we did meet, like, there's absolutely no pressure to do anything sexual with me that you don't feel ready for, and that I just really like you as a person, and I want to get to know you better. Something like that would be really good because that will offset the fear in her mind that, "Oh, great. Now I've almost, like, signed a contract with him." This is how she would be thinking about it, like, to have sex, and I'm not gonna be able to back out now. Like, I owe him something. That's kinda how girls would be thinking it if there is too much sexual tension. Often they could be thinking that way, so does that make sense? J1 the God? Mr. Listener says, "OMG, you're still alive. That's awesome. The reason I said that is because I currently had to escort my friend to his room because he got super drunk trying to outdrink a US Marine." Oh, wow. Yep, I'm still alive. I'm just kinda bored and Beardo's still doing something, so Baruch says, "Thoughts on marriage?" I don't know, Baruch. I think it can be good with the right person, right? But you have to be careful, and you gotta pick wisely, and honestly, I feel like you should try to sign a prenup, right? And yeah, it's kinda scary to me, but if you meet the right person, could be wonderful, I hear. I'm actually reading an interesting book now. Like one of the books I recommend a lot is called The Five People Who Can Ruin Your Life. And it's about basically how to avoid high conflict, dangerous people with personality disorders. And he actually wrote a book on dating and how to choose the right partner and avoid high conflict personalities. And I'm actually reading that right now. And it's really interesting and very, very crucial information, I think. So, yeah. It's called Dating Radar by Bill Eddy. And why your brain says yes. Wait, I'm trying to read the tagline here. How do I get that? Why your brain says yes to the one when, oh, why your breast, why your brain says yes to the one who will make your life hell. Yeah. Why do so many of us commit to the wrong person, sometimes more than once? While most believe that attraction and compatibility are the keys to relationship success, in reality, these are red flags in 15 to 20% of the population. When it comes to love, the brain is irrational and short sighted. We make decisions based on incomplete information, biased understanding, and strong emotion. Love truly is blind. That's why you need Dating Radar. It gives you a way to detect hazards you might otherwise miss by recognizing one, warning signs of certain personalities that can spell relationship danger. Two, ways they can jam your radar, aka deceive you. Three, where your own blind spot might be. Ooh, I like that. Blind spots. Yeah. So this guy is really interesting. He studies basically high conflict personality types, of which I know one. What about you guys? This person is, I believe, sociopathic, borderline, paranoid, and narcissistic personality disorder, all combined in one. Cluster B spectrum for sure. Evan Wells one. Did you ever look at Alabaster Girl by what's his name, Zamparion? I did. I absolutely hated it. But I did not read the whole thing, but I did read, I believe, was it the introduction, chapter 1, chapter 2? But it was actually so bad that I found it hilariously entertaining, and I actually wanna read the whole thing because it was, like, hilarious, and I think it would be really fun to talk about. And I actually saw him on TikTok, Zamparion, and I kinda got into, like, a fight in his comments because I basically said, like, "This is terrible." But then he was just like, "Hard to react," like, "Thank you," or something. So that was it. I didn't, like, follow up or anything, but it was even worse on TikTok, so what do you guys think about him? Because a lot of people tell me, "Oh, he's amazing. He's so good. He's one of the best." I'm like, "How in the world is that even possible that you think he's good?" But yeah. So Adroit EXO says most girls I meet are high conflict, not racist, but black girls are sometimes like that, and it's tricky to navigate. Well, this is a different definition of high conflict. Like this is basically meaning it's a person who they like blame the other person. They always like externalize blame onto a target of blame, and the conflict almost like is like this addiction where it just drives them to just double down, and they can never let go. It's really disturbing. So it's not like what it might seem like. Kushagra Sharma says, "Hi Vic, wanted your and Beardo's opinion on how getting bald changes the dynamic of dating for men." Well, for example, Beardo being bald did not hurt him dating at all. He was still getting women, okay, but he has good masculine frame or whatever. Like he has good attitudes when it comes to dating. He has good, just kind of like natural masculinity. Like he kind of just meets the hyper masculinity bias in a woman's mind. So he kind of had it easier. Okay, so he didn't have to, he had good game. So he didn't have to like looks max super hard or anything like that. Whereas, for example, my other friend, Philosophy Junkies, who, well, I won't say, actually, this is not Philosophy Junkies. I won't say his name. Okay. No, come on, that was terrible. I can't say what I was going to say because I just revealed his details. But let's just say that for other guys, being bald can be a big disadvantage, and you can get a hairpiece, and a hairpiece can change everything for you. Okay. But it's kind of like this is what we talk about sometimes, and he tells me it's going to depend on your face shape. You've really got to like make a study of your own face. For example, like my boyfriend, I think he has a great look, like with his beard and he's bald. But like for example, some people maybe they just kind of have a little bit balding and it's not good. So you can get a hairpiece and it can completely change your results because it's just triggering in women that subconscious, you know, how do I say it? It's triggering them to see you as young, beautiful, fertile, virile. Just like, for example, if some woman got like breast implants, all of a sudden you'd be like, doing, or whatever. Like, wow, what a wonderful, beautiful woman. It's similar. Okay. So it depends. It depends on your look, but I would definitely, if you think it could help, look into hair pieces because it can make a world of difference and it can go from no dates on dating apps to many, many matches very quick. And they look extremely realistic, in my opinion, and nobody even notices. Baruch says, "Would your mother date your father if Tinder existed?" That is a fantastic thought experiment about dating apps. Yeah, that's an interesting question, Baruch, for sure. In my case, I'm pretty sure my mother definitely would have dated my father because my mother thought my dad, she told me, she thought my dad was like Elon Musk. Like, she thought like he was like the coolest guy in the world and that like she couldn't believe he's like dating her basically. So I think she would have been attracted to him. Throwaway 118 says conversely, balding slash bald equals high testosterone equals masculinity. plus better in bed equals someone attractive. Well, that's actually what my boyfriend was telling me today because I'm like, it's so funny how like your beard is just growing like crazy, but then like no hair grows on your head. And he's like, yeah, well, that's kind of what they say about like high testosterone. Like if for some reason it acts differently on the hair on your head than everything. Yeah. I mean, personally, I didn't really care too much about like balding. Okay. But at the highest, most competitive levels, you know, people do. I guess some people do. So, I mean, not everybody does, but a lot of people do, I guess. Serengeti says, isn't your whole philosophy about putting emphasis on masculine frame slash energy, though, regardless of what your appearance is like? Obviously, looks help somewhat, but yeah, I mean, how important do you think looks are? Yes, Serengeti, like what I try to teach you on this channel is basically about the masculine frame, energy, sure. Because I'm trying to teach you how to understand women, okay? But what I've learned, I kind of underestimated, in my opinion, just how helpful looks could be. Because, see, when I first started doing my channel, I thought it would be easier than it is to kind of untwist all the little kinks that men have when it comes to understanding women. Then I learned there's a whole lot of blind spots. Okay, it's not as easy as basically changing your appearance. So if you change your appearance, you will get a whole lot of bang for your buck. All right. Whereas understanding women, I still think it's extremely important. Masculine frame, masculine energy, all that, extremely important. Okay. But if I had to choose one to just if I'm like, you're like my brother, let's say, and I love you so much, and I'm just trying to help you and do what's in your best interest and be like, you're suffering. Here's the quickest way to get the quickest results. I will tell you, work on your looks first because people are very, very subconsciously influenced by looks and they will overlook a whole lot of your masculine frame and energy if you have good looks. So it's still going to be very important and hopefully you have both. But what to do first? Work on your looks, in my opinion. Does that make sense, Serengeti? But in the meantime, definitely, definitely, it is so important what I say about like understanding women because it's going to break down eventually if you don't understand women, for sure. You get into a relationship because you got great looks. 3 months later, she's done with you. You know what I'm saying? Throw a 118 says, I would argue having looks is better than having money as a guy. You'll have so many opportunities in life, jobs, how people treat you, dating. Hell, rich women will want to take you off the market. My male model friend gets taken out by rich women and they pay for his food, travel, etc. Yes, I agree. I completely agree. Throw away 118, you know, and they're interested in you sexually. Whereas if you just have money, I'm not saying they couldn't be interested in you sexually, but they might not be. Okay, so I agree. Looks is better than having money. I completely agree. I mean, for you, for a woman, that's a different story. But for you guys, if you had to choose one, I would definitely give you, if I was your fairy godmother, I would give you looks. Deep Diver says, looks will simply bring women around you, but you won't get them or maintain them without game. I also agree with you, Deep Diver, that ultimately they will start sensing something's off because they will be expecting those kind of hyper masculine behaviors from you However, you will have far more opportunities, and some women will definitely sleep with you before they realize you cannot maintain them. So for you guys, that's good for you. But I definitely agree with you, Deep Diver. You will find it much harder to maintain them, and it's possible you won't get them. But the better looking you are, the more they just won't care. Serengeti says, I think money is better than looks personally, but it depends how much money we're talking about and how good looking the rich person is. Let's say they're average and rich, I think that's better than looks. Well, that's you're making a good argument as well, Serengeti, yeah. If they're just average looking and like super rich, you're probably you're probably right, depending on how good looking the looks alone person really is. Like if this looks alone person is like literally looking like a gorgeous male model, he still might do better than the average and rich guy. But it depends how much money and how much looks, right? Like, somebody sent me this really interesting thing about, Kevin Federline and Britney Spears. And basically, it showed how Britney Spears met Kevin Federline. She met him in the club. And guys, this guy looked like a sex god. Like he looked incredible. He basically looked like Brad Pitt, like a young Brad Pitt, like exactly, okay? And she did exactly what I forget who was saying it. Was it Throwaway or basically Britney Spears flew him out to England. She was like, "Come with me on my tour." She was obsessed with him, and it was all because he's good looking, okay? Did he have game? Well, he had like the masculine frame for sure, but did he kind of understand women? No, he didn't. But maybe he understood them enough to know that they like masculine frame or whatever. But it was mostly his looks for sure. And yeah, he got flown around and he got like millions and millions of dollars in the divorce. So yeah. Mysterious Stranger super chatted me again. Thank you, Mysterious Stranger. And he says, "Get a flannel, roll up your sleeves up, show some forearms." Yes, women love to talk about how they love forearms, right? They love it. So it's interesting, isn't it? In my opinion, this whole forearm fetish, it's kind of like a safe and easy way for women to say they're into like dominant, strong, masculine, hyper masculine guys. Because it's kind of like almost like with the runway, right? It's like an appropriate comment about dominance or hypermasculinity, however you want to say it, about, at the first quartile of like the runway. It's like they're not too heated up, so they're not going to be like, I like big dicks, or I like, a guy to like do some crazy dominant thing, but they are allowed to kind of hint at it by saying, I like forearms. I like big forearms with like the veins showing. Or another thing they say similar to forearms is, I like big hands with a lot of veins in it. It kind of shows like it hints at power, it hints at dominance, it hints at like masculinity or their idea of masculinity, right? So, yes, Mysterious Stranger. How much they actually like it, I don't know. I think it's more of like a signal. But yeah, maybe some girls are actually like super turned on by it. Thank you so much again, Mysterious Stranger, for your super chat. So Adam says, what do you think is more important, presentation, style slash grooming, or facial looks and a fit body? It's a good question, Adam. I mean, I kind of want to say like the facial looks and a fit body, but it kind of depends, I guess, because like maybe your looks with the style and grooming and presentation could be better than this hypothetical person who just has the facial looks and fit body. I don't know. But yeah, I know there's different people like out there who do these image consultations, like that guy Wheat Waffles. There's this guy JD the Catalyst or JC the Catalyst. So yeah, they probably know a lot more about this than me, I'm sure. Yeah, I shouldn't say they probably. I should say they do. Most likely. So, but you guys are making a big mistake in the chat right now, okay? I mean, it's okay in my chat, but please remember that never, ever, this is probably like the biggest mistake you guys can ever make, all right, is talking about the objective attractiveness, societal consensus of attractiveness scale when it comes to women. Never do it. You guys are all doing it. So I just want to caution you, never do it when it comes to a woman. Never talk to a woman about it. Never mention it to a woman. Never rate your woman. Never even say she's a 10. I'm going to talk about this in my next video on the female gaze because this is relating to the first principle, the female gaze, but you will get her to hate you. I'm not saying you can't talk about it amongst yourselves. I'm not saying it's not useful for you guys to talk about it or think about it. I'm just saying when you're talking to women, you're talking to your girlfriend, when you're talking to a girl on a date, when you're talking to your female friend, never, ever, 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 ever say it. Trust me on this one. Jim Wolshrop says, Victoria, I think it is ridiculous too. Actually, Jonathan brought up the point and I responded, yep, Jim, you know the female gaze if you know that. That's for sure. And that's something, trust me, I've just kind of clarified this for myself in my mind, like why women have a problem with it and men don't. So I'm going to be talking about that. Oh, Evan Wells won. Thank you so much for your super chat, Evan Wells. He says, 1 or 2 top books / resources. Great question, Evan Wells. Now, is it just like in general or when it comes to dating, Evan Wells? Okay, I'll just do both because why not? So when it comes to dating, okay, so I don't want you guys to just rush out and buy this or anything like that, but the course I'm just watching, this Kenneth Play, Beyond Satisfied course, I watched his kink section tonight, and he actually does a really good job of explaining how to do a kink scene with a girl you're dating. I actually really liked it. I felt like it would be very helpful. Like the things he was talking about, the things he was saying, I'm like, that would be good. That would be very, very helpful for guys to know and just watch how he's doing it. But I don't want to tell you to buy the whole course yet because it's expensive and I haven't watched the whole thing yet. So, but it was definitely good. Okay, but honestly, my number one resource is FetLife. Like, FetLife will tell you everything from the horse's mouth. Okay? Like, I feel like you guys are not taking my advice, except a few of you do. A few of you. I'm not going to name names, but I know some of you did. But it's like, read what women are saying they want on FetLife. Okay? That will cure you of the whole, like, nice guy stuff. Because when you understand what they like, you will not worry that you're doing something wrong by giving them what they want. So FetLife is huge. Okay, there's so much information on there, and it's like when you read about kink, it just so much makes sense in my opinion. So much is illuminated when it comes to dating. So this whole like hyper masculinity stuff, it's like the kink fantasies are just a what's that word for when you take something to an extreme? That's what it is. The kink fantasies are just like the ultimate end of the spectrum of these dating behaviors, what women want, the hypermasculinity bias, what women crave. So it can just help you like piece it all together. Like, oh, okay, it's not hard, it's not complicated. Women, it's not that women don't know what they want and don't ask the fish how to fish. Like it's just you'll see them talking about it. Okay, so that would be my number 1, honestly. And then, like, the number 2, it's hard to pick just one. I don't know everyone else, but have you seen my Amazon links where I, like, link to a bunch of books I found helpful? Because all of those books that I linked in there, I only linked the ones that I actually found, like, really good. I have read a lot more besides those, but those are books that I'm like, "I definitely learned something from this book." So, I don't know, but I will say that is my number 1, Fat Life. And oh, you know what? I know what my number 2 is. I often talk about this book, but it is Feeling Good Together by David Burns because that teaches you the soft skills necessary for a relationship. It teaches you how to basically resolve like any fight, any conflict, any argument. So that's like extremely important. I mean, it's not about sex, but it's necessary for a relationship, even for having a sexual relationship. It's fucking brilliant, that book. It saved my relationship. I use it every single day. It's just a gold mine. So I'm gonna go with those two Evan Wells. I'm curious for everyone in the chat, what is your top book? Just one or two if you have to. If you really can think of two. Actually, two, yeah. What is your top book and resource? I'm curious. And thanks again, Evan Wells one. So John says, John Bauer says, 100% yes, women absolutely hate the 1 to 10 scale. Yes, they do. J1 the God says, wait, Vic, so how off putting is this number thing? I believe that is sarcasm or something similar to that, J1 the God. Okay. Freedom Fox 1 says, rating scale arguments are about as serious as bros discussing professional sports. Yeah. Right. Good point. Good point. So Seek Understanding says, I have a question. When a man is making love to a woman, what does it mean when the woman is making eye contact with him? Okay, it can mean a couple of things, Seek Understanding. One, I think it means she's attracted to you. Two, I think it could mean she trusts you. Three, I think it could mean she wants to. These are all possibilities, okay? I can't say, but these are definitely reasons for making eye contact. She's honestly attracted to you, so she wants to look at you because she thinks the look in your eye is hot. She like trusts you because she kind of like is able to just let you see into her kind of soul. Three, it can be like submissive, like she wants to feel submissive, like if she's giving you a blowjob or whatever and making eye contact, that could be very like submissive eye contact. Four, she can just really like that kind of emotional connection during sex that eye contact can bring. But honestly, that's a very good sign, in my opinion, that she's making eye contact. What do you think? So Serengeti says, by the way, I'm very interested in your insight into why we shouldn't rate women on appearance because I have noticed that women get icked out by it way more than men do. Why do you think that is? I agree that rating people is icky, by the way. Okay, Serengeti. Well, first of all, okay, it's a very, very good question. So I had like a much better answer for this the other day, but the basics are first of all, women experience so much pressure to be beautiful, like from a young age. It's just constant. Okay. So they're very sensitive about it. Okay. They're very sensitive that from such a young age, people are saying, oh, you're so pretty, or you're not the pretty one, or, they know that guys are like very, very like lookist, right? They know guys are all about the looks. They're very shallow. So it's like they're constantly getting advertised, basically looks maxing, right? Guys are just catching on to the looks maxing. Looks maxing has been going on for women for so many years now, right? Thousands and thousands and thousands of years. Like they found makeup in the tombs and the Bronze Age or whatever, whatnot. So it's sensitive. So they're kind of like they're used to being constantly like compared with other women and just viewed solely for their beauty. Okay, it's kind of the same as if like a guy we're just constantly rating them on, let's say, dick size or whatever, and it's like, oh, well, this guy's 10 inches, so he's obviously the best. And the 9 inches guy, yeah, he's and like the 2 inches guy, come on, or whatever. Or if they're rating them on money, like bank account, or things guys are sensitive about, or like how successful he is as a man. So it's a sensitive topic. Okay, first of all, that's number one. In a way, guys don't fully understand because they haven't had the same level of pressure about their appearance their whole life. Okay. Guys have pressure about their appearance for sure. Okay. Looks is very important, but it's not to the same degree as it is for women. Okay. Trust me on that one. Um, it should, for guys who are aware, it could and should be because they know how important it is, but girls already know how important it is. So that's number one. Number two, okay, is that, wow. So for guys, it's, like, really important, I think, because they know that if they get a woman who measures up to the societal attractiveness consensus, they get, like, massive validation as a man. Like, guys are like, "Bro, how'd you pull that? Oh, he must have something worthwhile about him because he's with a model." Okay, I don't think that's really on women's radar. They're interesting, good-looking guys, but for women, it's not to the same degree where it's like, I'm nothing until I get that validation from a woman. Like, nobody sees me as special, nobody sees me as interesting, but if I had a model or a really hot girl, like, people suddenly be like, "Ah, he's someone." Okay, girls are kind of someone without dating, like, a hot guy because it's like they're supposed to be the beautiful one. So yes, they want a hot guy, but it's not to the same degree of like, damn, I'm someone because I'm dating this hot guy. It would almost be like a weird dynamic because it's like the girl wants to be the beauty. So there's that too. So that's why I think guys are so interested in it because it's important to them. They know it gets them like massive clout. Whereas girls, you know, like I said, they're sensitive about their looks. It's not as important to them in the same way. And yeah, those are kind of the main reasons, in my opinion. So, yes, women want you to see their unique essence, their beauty, plus their personality combines into their rating, and it's unique and indescribable, and it cannot be rated on a 1 to 10 scale because for them, oh, and here's the other thing. It's like they see, there's 2 separate scales. Okay, the 1 to 10 rating scale, which you guys love, is how closely you measure up to societal consensus of what makes a person attractive, right? So women like don't want to be seen for that. They want to be seen for you're unique, your beauty is like a reflection of your soul. They're not even thinking of when you guys are saying 10 that it's societal consensus. They're thinking, I have looked at you, I've looked at your soul, I've looked at your beauty plus your personality. Or, I'm gonna workshop that last one, okay? Because I kind of explained it. I kind of changed my mind on the last one. But the first two ones are valid. But I know there's another reason, but I'm gonna gotta make a whole video about this for sure because it's important. Sal K, you're beautiful, Victoria Shower from Chicago, baby. Thank you, Sal K. Thank you for the female gaze compliment. Thank you for not rating me, Sal K. Tammy Dobie says girls are too brutal on short guys. I agree. Oh, Pablo says, I think it's deep communication when she is strongly into eye contact. It is a way to enter each other's soul space and shows a strong desire to know her partner more deeply. I think it's a good thing. I agree, El Pablo. Richard Hume, what did Rom Willis say about gay men in a way that made sense to you? Jonathan Carver says, tens never hate it. Think about it. Yes, actually, you're wrong there because tens won't like it. Because think about it. If you're a 10, there's probably what, hundreds of thousands of other tens? So if you say to a woman, you're a 10, they're thinking, so I'm one of hundreds of thousands to you. Okay. And obviously you could like subdivide the 10 at that point. So no, even calling a woman a 10 is not female gaze. Adam Conscious says, have you read Intimate Connections by David Burns? Of course, Adam. Have you? I actually like it a lot. It's a good book. I have to reread it though, because I haven't read it in a while. Sharma says, have you read David Deita's books? Yes, and I hate it. Well, I've read one of them, The Way of the Superior Man. I hated it. Okay, Jim won't shut up one. All right, so I appreciate the compliment, Jim, but I want to use this as an example, okay, because this is another example of a bad female gaze compliment. So hopefully you won't get on me too much, Jim, for making an example of this. But he said, Victoria, you've become more beautiful to me as I learn more about you. Seriously. Okay, this is an example of violating the female gaze. Because you saying you have become more beautiful implies that, you weren't. Okay, I'm not saying this is what you're saying, Jim, just so please forgive me here, but it kind of can imply to a woman, like, you weren't that beautiful to me to begin with, but, as I got to know your personality, you become more beautiful. It's not necessarily a compliment, okay? Because you're basically like, oh, you weren't that great, but now I've learned to like you, or, your face, I can overlook the way I initially saw you. So it's not a good female gaze compliment. Like, a good female gaze compliment would be something like, Victoria, like, you're beautiful, or something like that. So do you see that? This is kind of the female gaze. This is why I need to explain the female gaze to you guys, because this is why guys are getting in tons of fights and arguments with their girlfriends all the time. Like, what? Well, I said you were beautiful. I said you're great. What's the problem? Well, you're violating the number one principle of the female gaze, which is the only girl in the world principle, which is the number one principle of the female gaze. So yeah, I have to make a video on this. But Jim, I think you have some other fantastic advice as well, so. Jonathan Carr says, I just don't give a shit what Wilson thinks. Sorry. Why are you here, Jonathan? Like, if you don't give a shit, that's kind of what we're talking about here. That's what we're doing here. The annihilator says, see this sort of mind games is exactly why I don't know if I want to date. Well, it's called the female gaze. It's what women find romantic. It's what women find, like, meaningful. So if you don't want to learn about it, then yeah, you're kind of doomed. If you just think of it as a game or a mind game because it's not the same as how you think about things, then yeah, you're just gonna fuck up. You're gonna think you're getting trapped. You should try to understand their perspective, and then you will not see it as a mind game. You'll just see it as, okay, it makes sense, seeing how the pressures they face, what they crave, what they deeply desire. Blade Runner, also known as blind spots, which everyone has, yes. Hi, Nevin.
Hello? You on live?
Yeah, do you want to join?
It's late. It's late.
Do you want to say hi? I'm going to go, but if you say hi, then
I'll take one question.
Okay, Beardo's taking one question. Jim won't shut up once. Says, I don't know you personally, so I was just making an off-the-cuff comment that I thought applied, but I get it completely. Okay, Jim, I really appreciate you taking that so well. I just thought it would be good for you because you're kind of maxing out on female gaze game and everything, so I thought I should explain that. But I do appreciate the thought behind that compliment. J1 the God says, and the crazy thing is he would be lying if he went with the female gaze. He wouldn't, because instead of saying, you don't have to say everything you think to be honest. Like, he said that I was become more beautiful, right? So he could just say, you're beautiful, rather than you've grown on me and become more beautiful, or whatever. It's still honest, but it's not subtly backhanded. So, unintentionally backhanded, but. Oh, Mysterious Stranger says, ask if he super chatted me. Thank you, Mysterious Stranger. Do you know? Ask if he knows about the 101st Airborne Division in the Army. Do you know that?
No.
Okay.
Hi.
Okay, so David's going to take one question. Don Giovanni says 101st Airborne is one of the most prestigious in the services. Very cool. I did not know that, Don Giovanni. What does it mean, like most prestigious? Like you have to be like super smart to get in, or what? How do you get in?
The stupid thing is, I know that the 501st is very prestigious in the Empire Stormtroopers in Star Wars.
Really? So, and I was just saying, like, okay, do you think this is like stupid, or let me ask you this? So, if somebody says, like you've basically like you've gotten more. No, I can't find it, Jim. I was gonna read your comment, but
Open Apple F.
no, that's not gonna work.
Doesn't?
Nani super chatted us. Nani. That's so nice. Thank you, Nani. He said, Beardo, how was your day?
I had a restful day.
Aw. Do you want to elaborate on that?
Watched a lot of football. Very, very grateful that the Packers lost.
A male gaze just went over this entire chat. A male gaze swept in from the west. All right. Thank you so much, Nani. And for your very thoughtful question.
Off the gold standard, just discovered your channel. You are wildly insightful and funny. It's true.
Oh, thank you. Off the gold standard.
I'm just eating some mixed nuts.
Hey, what is this? JG. We got JG in here. Oh, JG, I've been thinking about you.
What does the username off the gold standard refer to?
JG super chatted me. Thank you, JG, so much. I really appreciate that.
I've only ever seen
How are
highlights
you?
of Australian rules football. I've never seen like a whole game.
The Jim won't shut up one. It says, what is the biggest mistakes you've made with women, Beardo?
Jim won't shut up. I think he's asked that question a couple times.
Yep.
It's an appropriate name. All right. So this is the one question we're gonna do.
Well, yeah, if you want.
You pick the question.
That's the Annihilator has a good question too, but oh, that's a cool question. I like it. Dad, I can't pick. Which one do you want?
If you can't pick, I'll just go.
Okay. So
Is the chewing of the nuts bothering you? Okay. Being too honest is usually my mistake. I can relate.
Adam has a really good question too. Beardo, what does masculinity mean to you?
Okay, so this is the question.
Oh, I'm kind of curious about that one, Adam. I'm sorry, because Annihilator has a great question. Jim Won't Shut Up has a great question. Smartwater's a great question. Okay, you guys have all got great questions, but I'm kind of curious what you're going to say about this one, Beardo. All right, Adam. All right, dude. Answer that one. No, your question was amazing. That was a great question. All right, dude. So that's my question. That's our question to you. That's all of our in the lives question to you. Okay.
What is it?
What does masculinity mean to you? And please go into depth.
So I think that like my definition of masculinity is that it's the traits associated with being a man, and that it has like a positive, generally a positive connotation. So the positive traits associated with being a man. So when I was younger, I had very strong ideas about like what masculinity was, and it had a lot to do with toughness and stuff. So like kind of refused to like use shaving cream when I would shave, and I take like pills without water. Like,
That's crazy. And you still do that.
yeah, but I would do it like out of principle back then, you know,
What?
like there could be water right nearby and be like, I don't need it. You know?
Well, were you hoping someone saw you? Or was it just like for yourself?
No, I mean, this is just like how I grew up, and I just wanted to be a man. You know, I wanted to be masculine. I wanted to be a man. I used to say the definition of a man is someone who does whatever he has to do.
Okay, wow, that's intense.
So now I think the definition of masculinity isn't actually very important. So masculinity is kind of nebulous, but it's what all of us in our minds think of when we think of like a manly man, right?
Okay.
But like the individual definition of masculinity is a lot more important, I think. So you have to find like if you're a man, you know, or a woman, I guess, but if you're a man, you find what works for you in masculinity, right? And you can lean into that. And you find what things don't work for you, and you can reject those without feeling bad. There's nothing wrong with rejecting aspects of masculinity. I think that some stuff about masculinity is kind of dumb. When my grandmother died and I went to her funeral, and when I last saw her, she was like in the hospital, and I was trying to be stoic, you know, masculine, sort of, right? Just be like, oh, you know, everything's gonna be fine. And I didn't expect her to die, but she did. And I thought, like, what does all this like stoicism get us? I mean, not really stoicism exactly, like, but I just decided, like, why am I holding back from complimenting people, right? Why am I holding back from saying the nice things that I have to say about people? Why am I holding back from telling people that I love them, you know? And so when I went to her funeral, I was almost having like an episode, you know. I was just like really pushing. I was just like abandoning all like of the restraints that I felt were so important, you know, and just like really hugging everybody in my family, and you know, telling them how much I love them and like not holding back, tears. And I bring this story up because like it's just one of the ways that I just realized like what is this like trying to pretend like I don't cry? What is that getting me? You know? So I'm lucky in some ways where it's like a lot of masculinity just like agrees with me and I fit into it and Tor likes a lot of those things. But some of the things like I just don't have to go along with. I think like rage is something that's, very caught up in my masculinity for me and it's something that I'm really trying to, reduce. But I think like when we're talking about in the dating world, like I think masculinity is like we almost like pretend like women are I'm not saying this quite the way I want to. When you go on a date or you're with somebody that you care about, your wife or whatever, like me and Victoria, we almost have like this pretend game that we're doing where it's like, oh, Victoria, like you need me to open the door for you. You need me to hold the door open for you. You need me to pull out your chair, and let me go get this for you and all this kind of stuff. So it's kind of like being the strong person in the relationship, being the protector, being the caretaker in a way. Just kind of like you could even say like being like the father sometimes. Being stable one, being the rock, um, like in practical terms, like you pay for things, like you might be with somebody who makes more money than you, but still like you go on a date and you pay for things, right? It's just the way it goes. So
They said fascinating seeing Victoria be feminine.
yeah. So you can lean into that, right? Like we know that men are stronger than women, in the main. But that doesn't mean that they're not strong enough to open their own doors, and yet we open their doors and stuff. And you just like playing into those archetypes, if you will, and it's usually a good thing. Hetero women generally want to feel feminine, and they want their man to seem masculine. That's almost like the definition of hetero, right? Not quite, but pretty close. So that's what I have to say about masculinity, at least for tonight.
Good job, Dan. That was so good. You're so good.
Good night, everybody.
Okay, I'm going to then. All right.
It's 3 a.m. I'm actually supposed to be at my son's thing at 8, I think.
Oh no.
But it won't matter if I show up late, I guess.
Okay.
It's extremely late.
I knew it. Thanks for answering the question.
Good night.
Bye. But I'm actually coming to. All right. So, well, I just want to say goodbye to everybody. Thank you guys so much for entertaining me. I'm actually embarrassed to put up this live because it was so long, but I just want to, well, I'll just put it up, but maybe I'll take it down. I don't know. But anyway, guys. Jay on the call says, look at her. She could start frolicking. Yeah. Jim won't shut up once says, Victoria, do you have Cash App or some other way to send you money? Jim won't shut up. Thank you so much. Yeah, you could send me, if you guys want, I'll give you guys my Venmo, my non-leather life on Venmo, or PayPal, my non-leather life at gmail.com. Because, like, Beardo, he made me so feminine. The spirit of Shira 7 has taken over me, so I'm just like, give me that cash. So, no, Jim, thank you so much for offering. That's in case you want to. That's my Venmo. And if you guys do send me anything on Venmo or my PayPal, send me like a little note along with it so I know who you are, why you're sending it, and I can respond to you guys. So, but anyway, if you guys want any consultations, MyNonLeatherLife at gmail.com, email me, $6. I'll send you my scheduling link. We will go one-on-one. I will fully focus on your problems. And yeah, I'll also get to know you better. We don't even have to focus on your problems. We can just chat if you want. If you just want to chat. And yeah, guys, thank you so much for keeping me company tonight, hanging out with me, letting me talk about my special interest, teaching me things, your great questions, your great shares, your thought-provoking ideas, embracing Beardo. And yeah, bye guys.
Hey, Tor.
Yeah?
I was making so much money before. Tell them to subscribe to my channel. Then I'm gonna start making videos like real soon.
Okay.
Sweet.
So what's your name of your channel again? Beardo Speaks?
Yeah.
And subscribe to David's channel, Beardo Speaks. I'll put it in the chat if you want, because he says he's going to start making videos real soon. All right.
Said hello from my channel. If you click on my name, you should be able to.
What did?
It said hello.
Oh, so Beardo Speaks just put his name in, so you can just subscribe from there. Hi, Beardo Speaks. Anyway, guys. All right. Peace out. I hope you have a wonderful weekend or whatever. All right. Bye, guys.